All right, it's Saturday. We got a little bit of a different kind of project that we're going to do today, and so we're going to make a table out of these trailer fenders. These are aluminum and they're 72 inches long, and anyway, we're going to panel bond them together and make a table. And the tabletop is going to be done out of this stuff, and this is just baseboard molding, cheap stuff, $2 a 6-foot stick at Lowe's. And you can see I've already gone through and miter cut them all to create a kind of a chevron style pattern on the top. And I started doing a little bit of staining, you know, just to kind of get some ideas of what we want it to look like. And the paint, you know, we're going to body work, and not a lot of body work, but some body work on the sides where the joint is. And paint this, you know, base coat, clear coat, and using some paint that we got from our friend VW Darren, some matrix paint. So and the color of it you'll recognize, and so it'll be interesting to see who can guess where the color that's going on this came from. So anyway, let me stop rambling on and get started, and we'll show you a little bit of our work, and as we make progress, give you some updates here on the video. All right, thanks everybody. Got both fenders prepped. As you saw, we started sanding them down with a DA, and then this is the backing plate we're going to use to join these two together. And what I'm going to use is some rivets, and I've already put 3 holes. You know, the rivets kind of in the center, and they're hard to get to places to clamp. Down here on the bottom, I can get, you know, a clamp up on that pretty easily. So we'll rivet it together, and then once it sets up, I'll grind the tops of the rivets off. This is going to get fiberglass reinforced filler on it anyway to cover up the seam, so it can easily cover up the little holes. And obviously this is not a car or a show car or anything like that, so if imperfections show up at a later point because of this seam, you know, technically bonding it this way, you know, is not you know, guaranteed not to show a seam. At some point you could see a ghosted seam or whatever. So, but for a table, it'll serve the purpose just fine. So we got this backing strip cut, and I'm going to put the backing strip on each side first, and rivet it in place, and then we'll join it to the other one and rivet it to it once we get the 2 backing strips on this piece. So go ahead and do that, and come back and show you once we get it all. We get ready to put it together. I'm sure a lot of the guys out there on YouTube use these air nibblers, but when you got to just make a rough cut on some fairly thin material, this is really a way to go, especially when it doesn't have to be perfectly straight or whatever. So I really like to use these. Bit of a rough cut, you know, not exactly straight, but it'll work. All right, we're all set up here. Here's the panel bonding adhesive. I had a tube of this from before where we put the cow panel in the Mustang, and pretty much used it all up. So I ended up using it on several places on there. We needed some tabs welded on the inside of the fender wells of the Mustang, and because we'd already painted the inside of the fender wells, you know, we couldn't weld anything on the inside of there for, you know, for you know, mounting brake lines and wire harness protection, you know, things like that. So we just ground a little area under there and panel bonded it, you know, things like that, so where you can't weld, even if it is steel. So this is aluminum, but which we don't have any ability to weld aluminum here. So it's a 3M product, goes in the 3M gun, which we had from before. It kind of slides in, hopefully. Oh yeah, I remember this thing's a little aggravating here. Okay. Alright, so we need a little bit of a cardboard or something here to run some. I'll just use the sandpaper. This is the auto mixing tube, so you don't have to mix it together. It mixes the hardener and the epoxy. You can see it running down the tube there. About to come out. Get a little bit of out, make sure it's mixed. Good. And you need to grind your surface to, I believe it's 50 to 80 grit is what the tech sheet calls for, and this is ground to 50 grit. So squeeze some of it out, and should have read the tech sheet again. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure you put it on both surfaces that you're going to be bonding, and then you just tool it together. So I'm going to put some up here on the actual fender itself as well. Okay. Kind of wants to keep running out after you get done squeezing it. So we'll let that sit right there. And then just take part of the Bondo spreader here and tool it in. Work and smooth. Surface entirely coated. The nice thing about this stuff is you have a good working time. I think it's an hour or 45 minutes or something like that. As you can tell by all the random assumptions I'm making in this video, I really don't remember much about this product. So I know I'm off camera right at this moment, but I'm tooling this in on the fender. I'm going to flip it around in a minute. We'll get a look at it. Flip the camera around. Alright, so we got it tooled in on both sides now, and we're going to rivet it in place here. Okay. Let's see. Is it good like that? Yeah. of the things I should be doing is wearing some gloves, but I'm not. Okay, I'm going to rivet those in place so that it pulls that really tight, and we'll put a clamp on it also. Down on the bottom section down there. Put a clamp on both ends there. The reason I put the rivets in the center is I don't have a large assortment of deep clamps that I can reach the center from the outside, but I can get those outside edges with clamps. So we'll throw some clamps on it, and we'll do the other side and keep going. We'll show you what it looks like when we get it all set up. All right, well, we got it all clamped up. Well, those leaves are aggravating. Every time you open the door, they blow in here, clean them out, and they're right back in. So anyway, that's that. We've got a pretty good seam right there, and we got as many clamps on it as we can reasonably get. And I think we got it pulled up pretty tight there. So that backing plate is really thin, but I believe that'll work, you know, and not create any issues there. I mean, it is a table. It's not going to have any, you know, stress or anything on it. So anyway, we got it set up. What I'm going to do is also use the panel bonding to connect some studs to various places around, and that's how we're going to mount the top. All right, our cowl trough is coming together here. We are in the process of putting some 1/4 inch bolts, 2 inches long, cut the heads off of them. Yeah, they're grade 8, but that's all I had, you know, and aggravating to work with, cutting those heads off, but it is what it is. So a little bit of glue, you know, Gorilla Glue, and some tape, man, you can build anything. Got a little tape on there, just kind of steadying them and holding them in place until they set up. So got one that just fell off. Some of them needed glue and or tape to hold them, others didn't. And you see that one's falling off, so I got to put some tape on that one. All right, we'll come back and show you the next thing we do that's of any meaning. All right, I went to the store and got the stuff we're going to make the legs out of, and yeah, that's galvanized fence posting. And so that's what we're going to use. Figured it was cheap enough. Those are like 11 bucks for an 8-foot stick, and I can get all 4 legs out of 2 of those. And so this is how I'm going to mount them. I'm going to use these, which obviously they're meant to mount those with. And I've already got those bolted up just with a nut and bolt on them. And I'm going to take these and put them on the inside of this like that, and square it up to that lip on the edge there, and see if that will work. And the reason, and so I'm going to panel bond those bolts, and I needed to do that because I believe if I just panel bonded this surface right here to the inside of there and had those on there, I won't be able to get the top in from the bottom, which is the only way it can go in, and because you know, the top of this thing goes in this way, and then the whole thing flips over, as I mentioned before. But so that's how I'm going to do it, and you know, and then obviously use that to clamp it down there on the leg. But I think if I bring it up against this lip on the underside, that will get it square, and then I can clamp it in there. And so that's what we're working on. You know, this isn't really a how-to video, but you know, sometimes you guys can catch some tips. And one of the One of the things I always stress is only work with one chemical and one tool at a time. You never want to get, you know, a bunch of stuff out at the same time. And so, as you can see here, that's what we're doing. All right, well, this is our chevron style design for the top, and we got a little too much light colored in there, so we're going to hit a few more gray ones and call it good. So that's the wrap. This is going to be part one. We'll come back and finish it up for part two. Get everything all sitting up. Hopefully this will all be set up and ready to work with tomorrow. We'll cut our poles to length and we'll be ready to paint it. We'll get some footage of priming and painting. So